Hundreds of teens and young adults marched to the Capitol to deliver a message to their lawmakers on an issue they're very passionate and concerned about: climate change. Utah's youth led thousands of Utahns in a massive strike for climate action, joining millions of people around the world who left school and work to demand an end to the age of fossil fuels.
We're at the point where we don't have time to act gradually. It's been pushed off for so long, and they've said it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Well, it has mattered, and we're at the point now where we have to do something now.
Youth emphasized we only have 11 years to act, citing a report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that says we must reduce carbon emission by 45% by 2030 to prevent climate catastrophe.
A lot of the people like President Trump are going to be dead by the time it actually impacts us, and we're the ones who are going to have to suffer, and our kids are the ones who are going to have to suffer.
The global climate strike and Fridays for Future movement was sparked by Greta Thunberg, a 16-year-old Swedish climate activist. Since the first global climate strike on March 15, 2019, Fridays for Future has exponentially grown. There are approximately 2,500 strikes planned in over 117 countries.
It's really infuriating, just because it feels like we're not being heard and like our futures don't matter to people who can make a difference.
Many of these kids skipped school so they could come out. This is an issue that has raised concerns and controversies among residents and lawmakers. They were out in the cold and rain hoping to make an impact on the upcoming legislative session. Reporting in the studio, Humberto Sanchez, ABC4 News. Genealogy DNA testing is not only widening the possibilities of catching suspects of a crime, it's helping solve cases faster than ever before. Accused of raping multiple women in Ogden, Layton, Clearfield, and Wyoming, DNA from one of Mark Burns' family members is what led to the arrest of the accused serial rapist.
We interviewed that individual and obtained a DNA swab from that individual and confirmed that, in fact, he was the half-brother of our suspect.
The test excluded the half-brother as a suspect and gave investigators a strong lead into Burns. It's called genealogical DNA testing.
We're seeing this trend around the country in different jurisdictions.
Jay Henry is the laboratory director at the Utah Department of Public Safety. We went to him for insight as to how DNA testing works.
If there is a person of interest already, we will take that person of interest and compare it to the DNA profiles. If there's not a match or we don't make an association, then what we'll do is we'll put that unknown profile into the database. Once you put those samples into the database, it's always constantly searching.
Scientists can analyze the DNA and evidence samples to see if it matches the suspect's DNA.
What we would do is develop your DNA profile and compare it to the crime scene profile. And there should be a one-to-one correspondence to that.
He says the testing is highly precise.
Done in an accredited laboratory under appropriate conditions, it's extremely accurate.
And thanks to the technological advances, scientists are able to solve more cases now than 3 decades ago.
We're to the point now where we solve about a case a day.
Police believe that the suspect has committed additional crimes in the western United States. Potential victims are encouraged to come forward. Reporting in Taylorsville, Humberto Sanchez, ABC4 News. The number of refugees allowed into the United States has dramatically decreased under the current administration, and it's creating an economic concern in our state. According to the Utah Department of Health, there are approximately 50,000 refugees living in Utah. Refugees come from different parts of the world, fleeing their home countries due to conflicts.
I came with my family, my husband and my daughter, a few years ago, 7 years ago, 2012. We came as a refugee.
Mitra Hassai left her home country of Iran due to persecution. She's now youth coordinator for Catholic Community Services.
We leave our country because of religion.
There are 2 resettlement agencies in Utah helping thousands of refugees each year. Their main goal is to provide aid to this community by teaching them self-sufficiency.
Refugees pay billions of dollars in taxes, and they contribute to our economy, and they open businesses.
The low number of refugees entering is becoming a concern not only for refugee advocates, but local authorities as well.
We already have seen the effect of the lower refugee numbers that are coming to Utah the last couple of years, and we have seen businesses don't have the manpower that they need to do their businesses.
Governor Herbert sent a letter of concern to President Trump saying, "I encourage you to allow us to accept more international refugees in Utah. they become productive employees and responsible citizens.
I think it's really great to see our governor always stepping up, taking leadership role in saying that Utah is a place to welcome refugees.
Governor Herbert recognizes the logical limit of refugees entering the U.S., but he also says Utah has a capacity and public will to resettle and integrate at least as many refugees as we have in the past. Reporting in the studio, Humberto Sanchez, ABC4 News. Xochitl Juarez and Syriac Alvarez flew to Washington, D.C. last night, joining activists from across the country to rally for their rights to live and work in the U.S. Mexico might have been the place where Xochitl Juarez and Syriac Alvarez were born, but to them, Utah is home.
I was brought into the United States when I was 3 years old. I don't really remember much. I just remember growing up here.
My family and I immigrated to the U.S. when I was 5 years old, about 17 years ago, and we've lived in Salt Lake City, Utah ever since.
The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, known as DACA, has granted Xochitl and Syriac, along with thousands of undocumented immigrants, the opportunity to work legally and become contributing members to society.
DACA has changed my life completely. I have just climbed the ladder with DACA. You know, it has given me hope to become somebody in life.
And DACA really was an opportunity for me to move forward with my life as a young adult.
The Obama-era program's fate lies in the hands of the Supreme Court as the Trump administration seeks to end it.
I think the Trump administration's effort to end the program, and not only that, but enact policies that are anti-immigrant, really are xenophobic.
If the court decides to end the program, this will bring devastating fear of stability and security.
The thought of deportation, that's the part where it's really, really scary.
This is my home. Home is here. And I can't imagine going somewhere where I don't have all of these opportunities. We're supposed to be in the land of the free. And I want to show my kids that you can dream big here and make it.
The future of DACA remains up in the air until a final ruling that will likely take place in the spring of 2020. Reporting in the studio, Humberto Sanchez, ABC4 News.